Barbershop conversation, guys. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. I've come to the conclusion Anthony Joshua is a B level fighter. he's not. He's not an A level fighter, man. And what makes me say this? I'll say that he's a B level fighter and an A level entity. The guy can't fight, man. Joseph Parker and Carlos Takam have exposed him. The the best days of Anthony Joshua are behind him. I think we saw as good as Anthony Joshua could be in the fight of the year last year, which I thought was the fight of the year. Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko. I thought that he showed true courage, true grit. I'm not saying he's not tough. I'm not saying he doesn't have boxing skills. But I'll just say this. Spinks beats Anthony Joshua. I think Frank Bruno beats Anthony Joshua. I think Mike Tyson beats Anthony Joshua. Uh, let's see. Riddick Bowe beats Anthony Joshua. Lennox Lewis definitely beats Anthony Joshua. Uh, it's a 60-40 fight with him and Hapsin Rahman. You understand? And this is everyone in their prime. Uh, just think about it. Him and Anthony Joshua and Carl the Truth Williams is a good fight. Think about it for a second. And I know I'm going back. I'm going back a little bit, but I'm just trying to call him and Carl the Truth Williams is a good fight. Carl the Truth Williams was not a bad fighter. You understand what I'm saying? David Tua would give Anthony Joshua. I mean, like, he's going to beat some of these guys, but I'm just talking about just instant matchups you think off the top of your head. I think he beats Tommy Morrison. I think Anthony Joshua beats him. Michael Moore. And old George Foreman. The night he beat Michael Moore, no one beats George Foreman that night because he's just looking for a right hand and he finally caught one. Uh, Outside of that fight, I think he might beat an old George Foreman. You know, he could feint George Foreman the best because you know when Michael Moore was fainting, you saw George Foreman reacting. You know what I mean? He was doing all that. Uh, but think about it for a second, guys. I'm just going about to piss the UK off. I'm sorry, UK fans. Anthony Joshua is a B level fighter. He's not really that good. Does he jab well? I'm waiting. Does he have a strong right hand? I'm waiting. Does he fight with angles? I'm waiting. Is he agile enough to get out of the way? I'm waiting. Does he have a feint game? Does he have a double jab? Not so much. Is he tough? Yeah, absolutely. Does he love the fight? Absolutely. But he's not that good, man. Anthony Joshua is not that good. You guys are going to be heartbroken. I'm sorry you guys have to hear this coming from me. But um, it's gonna be a cold day in hell for y'all when Deontay Wilder gets gets a hold of him, man. You know what I mean? It's Deontay Wilder is gonna annihilate this kid, and you know what the alternative argument is? Deontay Wilder is not that good. Deontay Wilder is his own entity. Deontay Wilder has his own style. Deontay Wilder beat Luis Ortiz, who was better than Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is the third best heavyweight in the world right now, with um, uh, Luis Ortiz losing to Deontay Wilder. Just being 100 with you guys, I don't see him beating him. I think as we move this conversation forward, I think Eddie Hearn is protect. Now I'm thinking about Eddie Hearn is protecting Anthony Joshua. Think about it for a second. Carlos Takam, um, Let's go to BoxRec, just so I can be a little bit more precise. BoxRec.com. I want 21-0, 20 knockouts, right? Let's check his record. uh, Bums up until Dylan White, right? Oh, Gary Cornish, he's okay. Not really that good. But he was 21-0, right? Yeah, he fought bums up until Gary Cornish, who was basically set up, right? So, okay, now you got Dylan White, Charles Martin, Dominic Brazil. He took Dominic Brazil's O, took Charles Martin's O, took Dylan White's O, and Eric Molina. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 4 fights against C plus opponents. Dylan White is a C plus opponent. Charles Martin is a C plus opponent. Dominic Brazil is a C-level fighter. Eric Molina, days are well past behind him. Vladimir Klitschko and that night he was a B to B plus fighter on that night. That was the best 40-year-old Vladimir Klitschko could ever be. And Carlos Takam, if that fight goes any longer, Anthony Joshua gets more exposed. Oh. So let me tell you this. He had 4 gifts. He had 5 gifts. Gary Cornish, he's gotten gifts. 19, 20, 21. He got the 19-0 rather easy. He had to endure an early round against Dylan White, if I'm not mistaken. Outside of that, and a knockdown by Vladimir Klitschko. But outside of that, I think that he hasn't really fought anybody. And Anthony Joshua was on the verge of getting beat. Man. And that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. And that's why everyone is so anxious right now. That's why all parties involved are so anxious to get Anthony Joshua in the ring, because HBO can foresee Anthony Joshua losing. Showtime can foresee Anthony Joshua losing. Al Heyman can definitely foresee Anthony Joshua losing. I can foresee Anthony Joshua losing. And the UK fans, if you're honest, you can foresee Anthony Joshua losing. So in the next 3 fights, I believe Anthony Joshua could lose. Depending on who he fights. If he fights a Jarrell Miller, he's going to beat him up so bad. That it's going to expose Anthony Joshua so much that it's going to lessen his value. You understand what I'm saying? And we're going to sit back and see, man, because I don't see it. So, yeah, so I'm definitely excited about that. Let's see what else about Anthony Joshua. I'm trying to think who he beats at the heavyweight division, man. He beats John Ruiz. I definitely could see him beating John Ruiz. I'm trying to think of some 2000 champions. I'm sorry, I mean, the heavyweight division was down for such a long time. Klitschko, what do you have, 16 title defenses in a row or something like that? 17 or something like that. He beats Shannon Briggs. He beats Shannon Briggs now. He beat Shannon Briggs years back, I believe. David Tua might give him fits, though. David Tua would beat Anthony Joshua. If you ask me to predict that impulsively, I'm trying to remember my memory. I think David Tua beats him. Let's see. What else? Tell me some other heavyweights. Put it in the comment section. But the UK fans are about to come after me right now. I know they are. But Eddie Hearn is protecting his baby. I mean, what would every great parent do? Eddie Hearn is acting like his father. Like he's literally protecting him. Uh, I don't see, man. Luis Ortiz destroys Anthony Joshua. I mean, like destroys him. What they should have did was showcase Bermain Stavern. That they should have gave Bermain Stavern $500,000, flew him out to the UK, and destroyed him before Deontay Wilder just basically retired him. That's what they should have did, but they didn't do it. So they can have, as I told Ticket, comparative analysis, right? They don't have comparative analysis, so they don't have a common opponent, right? So they have John Molina, right? John Molina is common. John Molina didn't land a punch that fight. But he also destroyed Chris Arreola. So, and I'm almost certain though that was Vladimir Klitschko. I'm not sure if Malik Scott was in camp with Anthony Joshua or Vladimir Klitschko. But yeah, that's what it is, man. I know that's the UK's darling. That's their baby right now. As if probably like Frank Bruno, when it's like, oh, you can beat Mike Tyson. You need to fight him again. He got destroyed. And pretty similar body builds, right? Pretty similar body types, right? Real strong, Venice Beach bodybuilding type. You know what I mean? But I think Frank Bruno beats Anthony Joshua, if I remember Frank Bruno correctly. You know, Trevor Berbick. Wow, Trevor Berbick might beat Anthony Joshua. I mean, like all these names, these blasts from the past. Everyone beats Buster Douglas after Mike Tyson. He only had one great night. Evander Holyfield sits him down. Evander Holyfield outworks Anthony Joshua. The second half of the fight, Evander Holyfield takes complete control over Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua may knock Evander Holyfield down in the first 4 rounds. Outside of that, he takes over the fight. I'm trying to think of some more names that off. Man, Bone Crusher Smith. He was a heavyweight, right? Like, man, it's just, where does Anthony Joshua face? And I'm not talking about from a historical perspective. I'm just talking about recent history, 1995 on. Like, who does he beat? I got Buster. He beats Buster Douglas. He beats John Ruiz. He beats an older George Foreman. Some of you guys may dispute that. I just think he'll get off first. I know he'll have problem evading that right hand, but you know, Michael Moore in his prime, he will have problems with. You know, Michael Moore's greatest moment, sadly enough, is not winning the championship. It's getting knocked out by George Foreman, right? With Jim Lampley with the call. He did it. What he something? It happened. It happened, or something like that, right? What else? Vitaly Klitschko, dogs. Now that's a good fight. Anthony Joshua, Vitaly Klitschko, that's a real good fight. But I remember Vitaly Klitschko's eye looks like a mouth. I forget what fight that was, and he still wanted to fight. I don't know who's the bigger dog because because Anthony Joshua got up from the biggest right hand he's ever experienced. So you got to give him credit for that. Now I'm not taking away Anthony Joshua's toughness. No way am I taking away Anthony. I'm talking about him as a boxer, as a fighter. He's a B-level fighter. He's not an A-level. He's not even A-level. He's not better than Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz is the second best heavyweight in the world. Deontay Wilder is an A-level fighter at fighting the way he fights. He's not a traditional boxer. He's a basketball player with boxing gloves on. He is a free safety boxing. He's a free safety basketball player. Uh, Defensive end Javon Curse. He's Javon Curse with boxing gloves. That's who Deontay Wilder is in the boxing ring. He's the freak, and that's the truth, man. So I apologize. I had to piss some of you guys off with this video, but I just had to state it, man. And um, we gonna see, man. So I believe that this fight will get done. Eddie Hearn's value and credibility is shrinking at every waning second. Uh, I have reliable sources that say they are working hand over foot. They are exhausting themselves trying to make this fight happen. I believe this fight will happen. Uh, they got to get Eddie Hearn off that August 25th date. I believe Anthony Joshua and Daniel Jacobs will be on that card, or we're scheduled to be on that card. Daniel Jacobs is supposed to fight. If you watch my interview, Andre Rozier confirmed that in the interview that he has an August 25th date already set. So we got to sit back and see how that transpires. Will Anthony Joshua come over to the Beatles, the USA invasion? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm excited. But UK fans, I hate to disappoint you. Anthony Joshua is a B-level fighter. He doesn't move. He lacks the ability to land his right hand. He has difficulty throwing combination punches after the 1-2. He can be flustered. You can get inside. You know, believe it or not, he's easy to get inside of. Takam displayed that. I'm not going to say his power doesn't carry over the late rounds because of what he did to Vladimir Klitschko, so I'll reserve that, right? You know, you got to give credit for what these fighters have done, but I'm looking at the comparative analysis against the heavyweights I grew up to. He gets washed by all of them. He becomes that guy that everyone becomes better because they fought him. Name, cachet. You understand what I'm saying? Like a Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., you know? Like, I want to fight him because I'm going to become more popular with the Mexican fans. That's basically what Anthony Joshua would be, you know, against Lennox Lewis, against I think Call the Truth Williams beats Anthony Joshua. Think about it for a second. You guys might have to go watch a Call the Truth Williams fight to fully understand what I'm talking about. But he wasn't a bad fighter, and he was tall, he was big, always wore white, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think I remember him correct. I know he lost to Mike Tyson, but I remember watching him a lot. But let me know what you guys think, man. I think he beats Buster Douglas. I think he beats John Ruiz. I think he beats George Foreman. I don't think he beats George Foreman on the night of Michael Moore, but outside of that, I think he beats George Foreman. I think Evander Holyfield beats him. Mike Tyson obviously uppercuts the shit out of Anthony Joshua. Larry Holmes. He will, against Larry Holmes, he would look like a novice. You understand? Ernie Shavers, would beat him up so bad. Muhammad Ali obviously walks through him, but I don't want to go back to the 70s. I want to keep it at worst, late 80s. But anyways, man, let me know what you guys think. This is a 20-minute video. Let's end it here. Barbershop Conversations, man. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. I'm sorry, UK fans. I had to tell you guys the truth. But Anthony Joshua is a B-level fighter. And Deontay Wilder is in the class of his own. And that's it. So have Eddie Hearn sign the contract. Have Anthony Joshua sign the contract so we can get those belts. Those belts belong in America. All right? Those belts belong in Birmingham, Alabama. Is he from Birmingham? Tuscaloosa, I think so. So anyways, man, Barbershop Conversation. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Peace.